It was supposed to be just another quiet Saturday afternoon. A quick trip to the farmer's market, a warm coffee in hand, the sun filtering through autumn leaves. But when David Sinclair locked eyes with a woman across the crowd, everything stopped. Her face, her walk, even the way she brushed her hair behind her ear. It couldn't be. His wife, Claire, had died in a car crash over 12 years ago. Or so he thought. Welcome to dark truth, where the shadows speak, and the past is never truly buried. Every story we tell pulls back the curtain on the unthinkable. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's hiding in the dark. It's what we thought we knew all along. Today's case is about a man who buried his wife, only to see her face in a crowd 12 years later. A face he never thought he'd see again. What he uncovered next was a secret darker than death is. David and Claire Sinclair had been married for just over 8 years when the tragedy struck. By all accounts, theirs was a storybook romance. They met at university. David was studying architecture, Claire was a psychology major. They bonded over obscure novels, late-night coffee runs, and dreams of traveling the world together. After graduation, they settled in Vermont. David opened his own boutique architecture firm. Claire worked as a counselor at a local clinic. They bought a modest 2-story home near Montpelier. A golden retriever named Max completed the picture. They weren't wealthy, but they were happy. That happiness, however, would be shattered on the morning of September 17, 2010. According to police reports, Claire was driving on Route 89 when her car veered off the road, crashed into a tree, and caught fire. The vehicle was engulfed in flames by the time emergency responders arrived. The body inside was badly burned but presumed to be Claire's based on dental records and the personal belongings found at the scene, including her wedding ring and her wallet. David was devastated. Friends said he wasn't the same after the funeral. He sold their home, closed his firm, and moved to a quieter part of Massachusetts to be closer to his aging parents. But he never remarried, never moved on, and he always wore his wedding band. Fast forward to October 2022. David, now 47, was in Portland, Maine, visiting an old college friend. On Sunday, they went to a popular farmer's market downtown. It was bustling, people browsing produce, kids chasing after dogs, live music playing from a street corner. David was sipping his coffee when he saw her. A woman in a green coat talking to a street vendor. He felt the jolt before he even knew why. It was something about her. The shape of her jaw. The way she tilted her head when she laughed. The sound of her voice, it was faint over the noise but familiar. He told himself it was impossible. Claire was gone. Still, he followed her. Just for a moment. She didn't notice him, not at first. But when she turned, when her eyes met his, it was like time collapsed. The woman froze. Her expression flickered. Recognition, panic, something else. Then she turned and quickly disappeared into the crowd. David searched for her for nearly an hour. Nothing. No sign. He began to question himself. Maybe it was just someone who looked like Claire. A hallucination from a grieving mind. But the feeling wouldn't leave him. And he couldn't ignore the way she looked back at him. When David got back home, he did something he hadn't done in over a decade. He pulled out the police report from Claire's accident. He noticed things he hadn't questioned before, like the fact that the body in the car was burned beyond visual recognition, or that the dental records used were from a cleaning Claire had over 2 years before her death. An old record, not necessarily reliable. Most disturbingly, the coroner's report included a note. No DNA confirmation possible due to degradation. At the time, David had been too broken to scrutinize the details. But now something felt wrong. He hired a private investigator. The investigator started with the vendor stands at the Portland Farmers Market. Most didn't remember seeing anything unusual. But one vendor did recall a woman in a green coat who seemed in a hurry that day, said she dropped her phone while walking away and didn't come back for it. David retrieved the phone. It was locked, but the wallpaper sent chills down his spine. It was a photo of Claire. Not the woman at the market. Not an old wedding photo. It was a selfie. Taken just weeks earlier. She was older, yes, but it was her. Using the phone's metadata, the investigator traced the photo's location to a small coastal town in Maine, 10 Harbor, population under 2,000. There David found her. She was going by the name Elena Fields. She worked at a local bookstore. Rented a small house near the harbor. Kept to herself. David watched her from a distance for 3 days. He was certain. It was Claire. Finally, he confronted her outside her house. At first, she denied everything. Told him he was mistaken. Tried to shut the door. But when David begged, when he asked why, she broke. Her voice cracked. "I had to disappear," she said. "You don't understand." What came next shocked David more than her return from the dead. Claire confessed that the crash was staged. 12 years earlier, Claire had been involved in an affair. Not just any affair. Her lover was a patient. A man she had counseled at the clinic. He was obsessive, manipulative, dangerous. When she tried to end things, he threatened to expose everything. Her job, her marriage, her entire life. But there was more. Claire had also embezzled funds from the clinic, something the man knew and threatened to report if she left him. In her own words, "I thought I'd lose everything, so I chose to disappear." She made a deal with her lover. They would fake her death, using a stolen cadaver from a funeral home he had access to. His cousin worked there. They planted her belongings in the car and set it on fire with the body inside. Then they vanished. For 2 years, she lived under a false identity in Canada. But when the man became increasingly violent and controlling, she escaped again, this time for good. Changed her name, cut all ties. She thought David would be better off believing she was dead. She was wrong. David was torn. The woman he mourned for 12 years had never really died. The love he had held onto was built on a lie. But as the shock faded, rage took its place. Claire had committed serious crimes. Fraud. Identity theft. Embezzlement. Not to mention the emotional devastation she caused. David reported her to the authorities. Claire was arrested within days. Police investigations confirmed key parts of her story, particularly the embezzlement and the fake death. The body in the car? It belonged to a homeless woman who had died of natural causes. The theft from the funeral home was confirmed. Claire was charged with multiple counts: insurance fraud, obstruction of justice, misuse of a corpse, and criminal conspiracy. Her lover, who had gone off the grid, was tracked down in Montreal. He was arrested and extradited to the U.S. on charges of aiding and abetting. David testified in court. With a heavy heart. He said, "I loved my wife. But the woman I loved died long before the car crash." Claire was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. What drives a person to fake their own death? Desperation? Fear? Or the illusion that vanishing is easier than facing the truth? David Sinclair learned that some ghosts don't stay buried. And that love, no matter how deep, can't survive a lie that big. Claire Sinclair vanished into ashes. But in the end, it was the truth that burned everything down. If you found this story as haunting as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you saw someone you loved, someone you thought was dead, alive in a cloud after 12 years? Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious. And remember, the truth always finds its way home.